Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Our boy Oden has got some new buffs in OP10. We have some new cards that have made this really funky, cool Wano Exodia 6-cost Kinemon combo kind of thing possible, and I wanted to make a video just kind of like going over the explanation of how it works, showing you guys like kind of the play states that like you can do to make it happen, and just show you the combo, just like give you a quick little overview of the combo, talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of it, show you some deck lists at the end and some extra cards and stuff that I'm considering adding into the build. Yeah, this is just going to be a fun little explanation video showing you everything, and I'm going to try to have some actual gameplay with it coming soon as well, so hold tight for that. But for now, let's just jump in and let's get started. Alright, so these are the 3 cards that we got from OP10. There's a new Momonosuke and 2 new Kinemon cards, and I'm going to go over all of them real quick and just lay it all out for you guys. The first card is this Kozuki Momonosuke card, and it's a 1 cost 1000, 1k counter. It's a searcher, so it's essentially activate main. You can rest 2 of your Dawn and place this character into your trash. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 2 the Akazaya 9, which is the 9 red scabbards type cards, and put them into your hand. Then put the rest of the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is really strong. It's essentially like Dedeshi. It's essentially like the new Odyssey event for Lim. It's like the new Leo for Usopp. It's really strong, and without this card, none of this would be possible. None of this would be even like half as consistent as it is. So in my opinion, this is the strongest new card that came for this combo itself, right? Next, we have the bottom half of Kinemon. If you don't know what's going on here, when we meet Kinemon for the first time in the story, he's not all in one piece, let's just say that. But his is activate main. You can place this character and 1 Kinemon with power 1000 from your trash on the bottom of your deck in any order. Play up to 1 Kinemon with a cost of 6 from your hand. And this is a 2k counter, which is nice because worst case scenario, it's just a searchable 2k counter, right? This card goes with this card, which is another 2-cost Kinemon. That's activate main. You may place this character and a Kinemon with a power 0 from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Play up to 1 Kinemon with a cost of 6 from your hand. So these 2 cards work together, right? One needs to be on the board and one needs to be in your trash. And so to simplify, like to do an overly simplified explanation here, you're essentially like fusing the 2-cost Kinemons. One's on your board, one's in your trash. You're putting them together, putting them to the bottom of your deck, and then from your hand, you're playing the 6-cost Kinemon, which then plays the 3-cost Akazaya 9 character of like Okiku, Raizo, Inuarashi. There's more, but those are kind of like the main 3 that we're going to be focusing on here. So I'm going to go over kind of like how this works, go over the board state, kind of show you guys everything. Hopefully this is easy enough to understand. If I make any mistakes, I've tried to double check everything, but if there's something wrong with the play state, or like, if there's something like, oh, you should have done this and like this is slightly more efficient, like I apologize, I'm sorry. It's really hard to like do this like this and not make any mistakes. But let's just say we draw 5 cards. It's these 5 cards, and we're just like, holy crap, we're just goated. We're Giga Chad to the max. We have both of our Kinemon pieces. We have our 6-cost Kinemon, and we have Okiku. And I will say, sometimes this does happen. It's not as crazy as it might seem, but you do sometimes kind of just have everything ready to go, and it's kind of sick because you do have 6 cards to look, because you draw for turn if you're going second. So it's not the craziest thing in the world to actually have all your pieces ready to go, but it does not happen all the time. Let me just put it that way. But okay, so we have everything ready. We draw Inuarashi for the turn, and then we play out this Kinemon for 2, right? And so normally the problem would be like, well, this Kinemon needs to be in trash, right? So like, oh, we'll have to wait another turn and like counter out with it, right? And if you're using something like red-green Oden or Yamato, yellow-green Yamato to do this combo, this is a problem that you would have. But with green Oden, because of our leader effect, which is you can trash 1 land of Wano type card from your hand and set 2 of your Dawn as active, we can then use leader effect to trash the Kinemon that we need to put in trash, because 1 needs to be on your board, 1 needs to be in trash, right? We restand our 2 Dawn, and then we use the activate main for Kinemon. We put them together, we do the fusion, put them to the bottom of our deck, and then we play out the 6-cost Kinemon, which is really awesome. And then from that on-play effect, we play out Okiku. And holy crap, we have, on turn 1, going second, a 6-cost Kinemon and an Okiku on the board. And this is kind of just insane. So the main drawback, obviously, as you might be able to tell, is we have 2 cards in hand, right? But we are drawing another card next turn. And going second, our opponent's going to attack into us on their second turn. So we'll have 3 and then go to 4 cards. So normally you just take the first life, right? You're a 5 life leader. It's not that big of a deal. By the time you're swinging in with these characters, you have 4 cards in hand, which is not the craziest thing in the world. Like, it's not that bad, right? And if you have something like You Can Be My Samurai to get more draw, it's really strong. But so just to break it down for you, like, you're going to, next turn, you'll be at 4 Dawn, right? So you need 1 for Okiku if you want to rest something, and 1 for Kinemon to have his effect activate. Let's just say you're going to swing 7k with Okiku because you're getting 2 swings in with it, right? Then you need 1 more for Kinemon. So what you can do is you can take the extra Dawn and you can put it on your leader and you can swing 6k. Then you can swing 7k with Okiku, so that's a second swing. Then you can swing 7k with Kinemon because you need the 1 Dawn, restand Okiku, and then swing 7k again with Okiku. So on your turn 2, going second, you can swing 6k, 7k, 7k, 7k. That is insane. That is... I'm pretty sure there's no other deck that can do this. Like, that is more swings and at higher amounts than any other deck in this entire game can do at that early of a stage, which is just insane. So that's like the ultimate high roll edition of that, right? I want to show you another version real quick. So this is going to be essentially how it normally goes when it's like you're not going to have all the pieces you need ready to go off rip, right? And as far as going first or second, I'm not sure actually which one is better, because sometimes there is a little bit of merit to going first, but I do like going second a lot of the time, and I think that might be the way to go here. But let's just say these are your 5 cards, right? We have some of our pieces, but not all of them. Luckily, we have an Otama search. Momonosuke here would have been even better, but hey, we decided to keep, right? And then we get lucky. Oh, dang, we got a Momo off of our first draw. So beautiful. At this point, we just need, essentially, we just need the other Kinemon piece, right? Everything else we have. We're running 4 of all the essential pieces in this deck. So, like, you know, you're going to see a lot of them throughout the game. But there are times when you don't have one or the other, and that's when you need to kind of mulligan. We'll go over the mulligans and stuff later, though. So you draw into this Momonosuke. You have 2 Dawn, so you're not gonna. It's not gonna work this turn, right? Like, you can't get the combo off this turn. So you play Otama. You get Okiku from your search. You search 5, and we'll just take Okiku because she's the strongest target, right? And then with our extra Dawn, we're putting down Momonosuke. We pass. Our opponent attacks on their turn 2, going first. We take it. The life is, let's just say it's Inuarashi, right? Okay, so we got another card. It's Inuarashi. This doesn't matter at this point. It's our turn 2. We draw again. We get an You Can Be My Samurai. Great. That's awesome. Really, really good. So we're going to use this, right? Now, I believe in this example, I don't use it first. I use it later. You could make the argument that you should just use Samurai first to rest these 2. Kind of like if you're using Moria and you play something like Kuzan brand new. Just to get the guaranteed draw first and then do the search. So apologies if you want to do it that way, that's fine. But in this situation, we're just going to use Momonosuke first, right? We're going to rest 2 Dawn and then put him into the trash. We're going to look at 5, and the 2 cards we get from the top 5 are going to be the 1 Kinemon that we need, and oh, looky that, Denjiro, the 5 cost, is also an Akazaya 9, so we can take him. We put those to hand, right? Then we play out the 2 cost Kinemon that we need, one of them, right? It doesn't matter at this point which one we play. We put it on the field, right? And again, now we use leader effect, trashing the other one that we need to be in trash, and we get 2 Dawn up. So this is huge. This is already awesome, right? So at this point, we could swing. You know, you can swing with leader. You could do a 7k if you don't have the You Can Be My Samurai. Just watch out for triggers if you're going to swing before you do the fusion. But in this situation, we're going to rest the 2 cards on board, which is just insane. We're getting crazy value here. We're drawing 2. Let's just say the 2 cards were another 2 cost Kinemon and Hody Jones. This is all just like, you know, random stuff that I'm putting in that's like might be natural if you see it, right? And then we have 1 Dawn left, so we will swing 6k leader, just assuming that there's no triggers we need to worry about. If there is triggers that we need to worry about, we might have even just swung 5k before we do all this, just to be extra safe. That's just something to keep in mind. Now we'll use the activate main with 1 on board and 1 in trash, put them together, do the fusion, and play out Kinemon into Okiku. All right, so again, it's not as fast as turn 1, but guess what? That's turn 2. And it seems like it's really hard to get all the pieces that you might need. But as long as you have the 1 cost Momonosuke, like, you already have a really good shot there. And if you get this off turn 2 going second, you've drawn 2 cards, taken 1 card from life, most likely, and then also potentially searched up to 1 or 2 times, which is a lot. That's a lot, right? And now in this case, you'll go up to 6 Dawn the next turn, and we'll have our same, you know, 4 attacks going in, but even higher numbers, right? So this is kind of how it works most of the time. Now, when you don't see the pieces that you need, Sometimes you kind of have to just like try the best that you can. The search is really, really important. But the other thing too is like, even if you don't get this off until turn 3, turn 4, if you have the pieces that you need and you can do the fusion with the 2-cost Kinemon still, it's still really strong, because instead of using 6 Dawn for Kinemon, you're using 2, right? And if you have something like Yumi My Samurai, it doesn't matter if it happens later in the game, because you're still able to play them down and then rest them and get the card draw. So at the very least, it's still like an advantageous like kind of play that you're doing, and you're getting value from it. And yeah, it's just really strong, right? Like just, and worst case scenario, you're just like playing down your 3 costs, maybe using leader effect to ditch a counterless or something like Denjiro, and just getting the extra Dawn back to play another 3 cost, or just swing heavy with leader. There's a tons of different lines you can do, but these are like the super high roll version, and like what kind of happens most of the time. The low roll version, I guess you can picture it in your head how it might go, where you just, none of your pieces are coming in, you draw like 3 of one of the 2-cost Kinemons. Like that does happen, but it's pretty rare. Honestly, I would say out of like 10 games, I've been playing this deck a lot recently. Out of like 10 games, it's about 1 out of 10 that you get that like crazy low roll where you're just like, oh my god, this is terrible. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's pretty comparable to like, I don't know, if you're playing Lucci and you don't see any Morias, like there's a good chance you're gonna lose, right? So every deck has this kind of like risk reward kind of situation. I would say this Oden is, you know, probably more often than not, you're hitting it within the first like 3 turns, which is really, really strong. And I think you're still getting enough value out of it to really help you. The one major downside, I think, would be like kind of losing the hand resources when you don't have the ability to recoup with stuff like Yumi My Samurai. It is hard to kind of regain the tempo or like keep your characters alive. So that is one thing to consider, and like just be wary of for sure. All right, we're gonna jump into the key cards and mulligans here. So in my opinion, over the past week or so of testing this, I would say the number 1 mulligan is the 1-cost Momonosuke and essentially the 6-cost Kinemon. These two kind of together. Obviously Momonosuke is just, you can double search things out. So whatever pieces you don't have, you're more than likely able to find it with Momonosuke. And in my mind, just from what I've been testing, from what I've seen, right? Not getting your 6-cost Kinemon is what kills you the hardest out of anything. Not getting Okiku is whatever. You still have so many targets for the 3-cost. Not getting the 6-cost Kinemon is what really, really, really ends up hurting me. The times that I can't find him, even if I'm searching with Momo and Otama, right? And then obviously these are the other 2 main pieces that we need for the fusion, so we're going to be really wanting to search those out at a kind of higher priority than even like Okiku. As long as we have 6-cost Kinemon, these 2 pieces, and 1 3-cost, we're fine. So you got to keep that in mind. You're not always going to be able to get Okiku out with Kinemon, and it's okay, because sometimes like you get the first one off really easily, and then sometimes if you just have another 6-cost Kinemon and another 3-cost, you can just play it out for 6 Dawn. It's still a pretty nice high value play, right? Especially if you have enough cards in hand to use leader effect to get the extra 2 Dawn back to use for something else. So that's just like the main things to look out for. And like I said, I think going second is strongest, but that's still to be decided. All right, so let's look at some deck lists. I believe I have 4 here for you guys. This is the main one that I've been using so far. The one of Yamato, just because I have this actual alt art in real life and I just want to put Yamato into the deck. As you can see here, there's no Momo searcher, and I'm not sure if you need Momo. The space is really tight. Like as you can see, we're just running 5 Denjiro, or 4 or 5-cost Denjiro, and everything else is basically our search / combo pieces and 3 costs. And then we have Hody here. Hody is just really good because if you out-tempo your opponent and 1 or 2 characters survive, then even if you're low in hand, you're still at like 4 or 5 life, right? And you just don't mind playing down Hody, taking a life, resting whatever blockers they might have, and then just destroying their board and then like going for game the next turn. Hody is an extremely high value card in this deck in my opinion, and I like running him at 4 right now. Hody's just the GOAT. I think we all know this, but he's really good. It's an aggro deck. This is an aggro deck, so Hody really makes sense in it, in my opinion. Then we have 2 0 costs just because there are bricks, and like sometimes it's, you just need to get out of the you know, things that need 3k to save your characters, or annoying 7k swings from leader. And then 3, you can be my samurai. I would probably maybe run this at 4. I think it could go to 4, honestly, because you can always ditch it off a leader effect, but for now it's at 3. So this is like the main kind of generic list that I have right here. And then we have a list like this, because one of the main things is I always feel like it's needing a blocker. And unfortunately, we don't have the best targets here, but there is this Nekomamushi that is also 9 red scabbard, so it's searchable. It's playable off Kinemon, and like in the worst case scenario, or like, you know, in a pinch, you just attack with Nekomamushi, restand it with Kinemon, and then leave it standing as a blocker, right? Or you just play it out with Kinemon and you have a blocker. So if you already have a character on the board that needs protecting, you have it there, right? And this is running like the Ashura Dojo or whatever character, which I don't think is as strong. I will say, I think the Nekomamushi is probably the weakest link, but there are times when the 2 cost is kind of nice, especially against decks like Teach, Blackbeard, where you just want to get out as many bodies as possible. Being 2 Dawn, 2 cost right here is nice with leader effect, because you just restand 2 and then you can play this out occasionally, and just another target to restand with Kinemon, right? So the third list here is using Hiyori, and this is a card that I don't see this really working in this build, but it's something that I want to try out more. And I think if you do, you just need to run more targets, because the only real high value target we have is Denjiro and the 2 5-cost Yamatos, right? Everything else is like, it's not really a negative play if we play Hiyori and then play out Okiku, but it's not really that high value, right? We're still getting the draw from Hiyori, but we're essentially like losing a counter to play out a 3-cost, and then we're drawing into possibly another non-counter card. So really, you can't capitalize on how strong Hiyori actually is in this deck, in my opinion, but I do think it's worth exploring, so that's why I made this version. And then last, we have this one that has Momonosuke included inside, and I do think Inuarashi at 4 might just be the way, so I did it in this one instead of the 2 Nekomamushi, because Inuarashi is not once per turn. So if you have like 2 Kinemons on the board, and you restand it, if you put 2 Dawn and Inuarashi in attack, you're getting 1 Dawn back every time. I've done some insane combos. Like if you have a Denjiro and an Inuarashi on the board and a Kinemon and a Hodi, like you play down Hodi and then start doing all these crazy like Dawn restand chain effects. It's insane. I've done things with this deck that I've never even been close to doing with other types of decks in the One Piece card game, and it's just really, really cool and really, really fun. So these are the main 4 kind of like builds as I see them. Again, you can run this in Red Green Oden, which I need to get to testing, but just for now, since I do think Green Oden is probably the best host for this combo, that's the one I've been focusing on. And you can actually do this with Yamato, because there is a yellow 6-cost Kinemon, which is hilarious. But you know, I will be testing it out, don't worry, like, you know, I'll be testing it out. But these are the main 4 lists that I kind of see having potential as working. And yeah, I just wanted to show them to you guys. All right, and these are some cards to consider. Like I said before, we had the Momo, the Nekomamushi blocker, Hiyori, and the Ashura Doji, right? But there's also Kawamatsu, which is another 2-cost, which is kind of good. It has the counter, and it's a trigger to just play this card, which is pretty good. Against decks like Teach, if you hit this out of life and already have a Kinemon on board, the value you actually get from that is kind of insane. Or if you just play another one, like if you're at 3 Dawn, you can play down Okiku, use leader effect, swing 6k, and then play out this. Like, that's still a lot of value at the end of the day. It just depends on like what you're playing against, right? And then of course, 8-cost Oden has potential to be in this deck. Just unfortunately, he's not Akazaya 9, because those are obviously the samurai that are under him. But he's searchable off of Momo if you play it. He's searchable off of Otama, and just a good card, right? If you have Denjiro on the field, it's really easy to get the 3 Dawn that you need to swing again with him. So yeah, another card to consider. Alright guys, that's going to be it for the video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you had fun kind of like seeing the combo. I hope you could see like the vision that I have with this deck. It's really, really fun. I do think it's not a super meme deck. It's not terrible. It's really, really fun. If you high roll and you get some of those combos out early on, you can beat a ton of decks. Like, I've been able to beat Teach pretty consistently with this deck. Dofi is hard because they can just out-tempo you with stuff like Jinbei and everything. But at the end of the day, like, I could see this leader, this deck kind of like even like winning a flagship in Japan. So, you know, like 4 or 5 rounds, if they get lucky enough, not like don't get any terrible matchups. And honestly, the thing is too, is like if you get the ball rolling quick enough, you can beat black decks with this because you just out tempo them. It's kind of like how Dofi does it, and it's kind of like how Vegapunk can also beat Lucci and Smoker, right? You get out more bodies than they can handle, and then you start just swinging face. Like black is notoriously, you know, not that great against things that are super rush, super aggro, right? So it's the same kind of thinking with that. But yeah, it's a really, really fun deck. Let me know what you're excited to try and cook with it, if you've already been testing it yourself, or what you think. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will try and get out some more like actual IRL playing of the deck and stuff, like some videos for you guys for that too. But just for now, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.